Hey, Tyrone here, fresh out of the hospital. So I've been home from the hospital for, let's see, what is today? Today is Wednesday. So I got out of the hospital last Friday. So I've been home for, let's see, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days. I actually spent 5 days in the hospital as well. So I went in on Monday and got out on Friday. And while I was in the hospital, I learned a couple of things about cash flow, right? About money, about finances. And I'm going to share those things with you in this video. Hopefully it'll give you some insight as to how important money is. It'll give you some insight on how you can have some emergency cash flow come into place. And also some insight on what an emergency fund looks like, right? And what is it? And how to put one together. So I went into the hospital. I had a sickle cell anemia crisis. As many of you guys, if you watched me before, you know that I have sickle cell anemia. I've been dealing with sickle cell anemia my entire life. I was born with it. It's a chronic blood disorder where your blood cells, they go from being like round and soft and pliable and being able to freely flow through your veins, your capillaries, and your arteries to being crescent shaped and hard, sickled shape, and they start to bunch up together, and it creates crazy, insane pain, just in all areas of your body. I mean, it can randomly be anywhere. It could be in your head, your neck, it could be in your chest. This time around when I was hospitalized, I had pain in my entire chest, my entire back, both arms, both legs, and my neck, and portions of my head, right? So the pain gets so bad sometimes where they'll put you on like high dosages of opioids, right, Mal? Is that it? Opioids? Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Right? And so like Dilaudid and Demerol and morphine. So this time around, I was on a continuous drip, like a pain med drip, to kind of kill the pain. And I had that for, I think, 2 days or so. And that was... I think it was Dilaudid that they had me on, which is a cousin of morphine. So what happens when, typically, and I want you guys to answer this in the comments, what happens when you typically go in the hospital for 5 days, right? So typically, when I would go in the hospital before for weeks or days, or, you know, I've been in the hospital for a month and a half, the longest at one point. Before, what would happen is, you know, you start to wonder not only about your health, you start to wonder about your mortality, you start to wonder about other things, but you also start to wonder about the normal things that everyone worries about, right? And that is, how are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to make sure that things like, boom, your television up there can remain, things like your lights can remain on, and my family's over there eating right now. So things like making sure that food stays in the refrigerator, and making sure that you have a roof over your head, as my mom used to say. So when you're living paycheck to paycheck, or when you have just one form of income, it could be really stressful, right? For just anyone, regardless of how much you make. It could be super stressful. And I'm thinking back to like back in the days when I would get sick and I only had one form of income. And that would be my job, working at Walgreens Pharmacy. And then now at that time I had less responsibilities, right? I had one kid at that time. No, actually I didn't have any kids at that time. But it actually still was very stressful because I had a car payment, I had rent to pay, I had, of course, utilities and things like that. So not only are you dealing with the emergency, and in this case, the emergency for me was being hospitalized, right? Going into a sickle cell anemia crisis. So you're dealing with the emergency plus ongoing life cost. Now, the emergency could be anything, right? It could be your car breaks down and you need a new set of brakes, or you need new tires. I just went in and bought tires for my son's car today. It was $1,000 for 4 tires. That could have, in the past, that would have been an emergency for me, right? It would have been an emergency where not only would I probably have had to wait until I got a paycheck, but in some cases, I would have had to wait until I got 2 paychecks to be able to help with that, right? And you're out of commission for that that period. An emergency could have been an appliance going out, right? A refrigerator or a washer or a dryer or something like that. An emergency could have been like your AC unit going out. It could have been a water heater going out, right? So all of these different emergencies. It could be an unexpected death. It could be an unexpected illness. What happens when you have these emergencies and you're dealing with your regular 9 to 5 income? Well, what happens is you have added stress that takes in, right? That you're taking in. So now you have the emergency, plus you have added stress of how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to deal with this emergency that just popped up? And now it creates this cycle of frustration, right? That's why it's so important to have cash flow coming in. And cash flow in multiple formats, right? So you could have cash flow where it's coming in from this source, this source, this source, this source, right? The average millionaire has 7 forms of cash flow coming in. 7 forms of cash flow. The average individual has 1 form of income coming in. You see, there's a difference between income and cash flow. So income would be what you get from your 9 to 5, or if you get something like Social Security, right? Or if you get government assistance, that might be income. Cash flow is money that comes in even when you're not putting in the time to work for it. You put that time in already, right? You've invested the time, you've invested the skill set needed to find out how you go in and create these forms of cash flow. You've invested maybe the cash needed to generate the cash flow, and now it comes in consistently after that. You've done the thing. So now, how do you generate cash flow? What are some of the ways that you can do this? So there's a million different ways. Now, you guys know that I'm fond of Kindle publishing, right? I don't care if it's Kindle publishing, if you're getting involved with the Kindle cash flow program, or if you're doing something else that generates you cash flow. The important thing is you want to make sure that you have cash flow coming in, because there's going to be an emergency that pops up at some point, and usually emergencies follow one another, right? So there's usually one, and then there's another, and then there's another. So some of the ways that you could generate cash flow are, of course, with Kindle publishing, right? So if you follow me for any period of time, you know that I've taught hundreds of thousands of people how to generate cash flow using Amazon Kindle publishing. The other forms that I'm really passionate about are just selling digital content. So like selling courses, selling subscriptions or memberships or recurring programs, selling digital content of any form, right? So I call it digital real estate. So digital content in any form, and constructing all of these digital real estate sites that now generate you income. So for example, I've got different courses, right? I've got maybe about 100 and something different courses. And each of those courses generate cash flow, right? Some may generate more cash flow than others. Kindle publishing, that generates cash flow. There's physical real estate that we have, right? Physical real estate generates cash flow. Now that's a little bit less passive, because your cash flow can be passive or it can be non-passive. The thing is, you want cash flow that does not require you to be working on it 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. So with our physical real estate, right, we have a lot of short-term rental properties where that does include being able to go in and communicate with guests. It includes the management side of things, because we self-manage, right? My wife actually self-manages. So she may be answering questions. She may be interacting with guests. And a lot of this stuff is automated. If you know anything about like autoresponders that would be used in email sequences, it's very much the same process, right? But the important part is having that cash flow comes in. There's nothing that is as much of a stress reliever as knowing that you have income coming in and in multiple accounts, right? So if this account is low, you have money in this account. You've got money in that account, you've got money in this account. Now, there's also cryptocurrencies that can generate you cash flow to a degree. I'm not going to speak on those because I don't know much about that type of cash flow generating cryptocurrency asset, but there's cryptocurrency that can generate you cash flow. People, listen, it's been done forever. There's singers and songwriters that will write songs and generate cash flow and residual royalties from the songs that they've written. There's producers. There's actors that get royalties, continuous royalties in the form of a piece of the revenue that's been generated from a show that they've acted in or a movie that they've acted in. So there's multiple ways to go in and generate cash flow. The thing is, you want to turn this into a game. I was talking to a friend of mine, Marty Cooney, who many of you guys may know, Marty and Josh. And Marty said his goal is to have 100 different cash flow producing properties, right? Whether they're physical properties, as in real estate, or digital properties, as in digital real estate. It becomes a game, right? As I said to you guys, I've got over 100 different cash flow products, digital products, courses and programs that generate cash flow, right? So that's the other thing. So making sure that you have cash flow in the event of an emergency. The third thing is making sure that you have an emergency fund, right? I like to call it a WSHTFCF fund, all right? So what does that mean? That means when shit hits the fan, cash flow fund. Because things are going to go bad at some point. Things with outside of your control. Sometimes things will be huge. You may need to totally go out and get a different car, right? And you've got this fund where you can pour from it. It may be where you've got, again, an unexpected illness, an unexpected death, a tax bill or something like that may come up, and you can come in and pour from that. So you want to start thinking about these things. And I like to tell people that, listen, with your emergency funds, your shit hits the fan fund, back when I was coming up, my mom used to say, okay, everyone should have 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund in place. I like to tell people to look at your expenses for the month. So whatever your expenses are for the month. Now, think about your food. Think about what does it cost for you to pay your mortgage or your rent? What does it cost for you to pay your utilities? What does it cost for you to put gas in your car to go back and forth to work if that's what you're doing? What are the needs, like the must-haves? In this, you don't include things like getting your hair done or going to the barbershop or going to the movies. It's your must-haves. What are the essentials and what do I pay on a monthly basis for that? And then that's where you want to start to set up your emergency fund, right? Calculate that amount. If that amount is $2,000, then you want to multiply that by 3 to 6 months, right? So $2,000 by 3 would be $6,000 that you want in that emergency fund. Multiplied by 6 would be $12,000. I like to actually take that even further, and you want to have at least a minimum of a year's worth of expenses stashed away somewhere, preferably in an account that's semi-liquid or as liquid as possible, that is still generating you some interest, that's generating you some cash flow. And that's a whole nother video. If you guys want to talk about that stuff, let me know. But yeah, that's it. So emergencies, what I learned by being in the hospital, and what I learned by being in the hospital, just bringing this thing full circle, is that I'm glad that I put these things into play, right? So you put all of this stuff in effect. So when an emergency does happen, now you can focus on getting the emergency taken care of, and you're not worrying about the bill. So as I was in the hospital, I didn't have to worry about my wife and my kids, if they're going to eat. As you can tell, they're over here eating pretty good here. Well, they're done already. They smashed that. Look at that. That's what I got to deal with here. But you don't have to worry about this stuff. When you've got your cash flow coming in, you've got your emergency account set up, you start to live a little bit easier, all right? And you deal with the emergency. Let me know if you like this type of content. Let me know if you want me to shoot more videos like this. Let me know if you'd like to know like what type of accounts you start to put your emergency fund money, when shit hits the fan fund money in, so that you can not only have access to liquid cash as much as possible when you need it, but so that you can also generate some interest and have your money making money for you. All right, so there you go. Peace. Let me know what you thought about this. Comment below. I'm probably going to do an entire 3-day event on just finances, right? On personal finances, on business finances. How do you go about and manage your personal finances so that your personal income can grow for you? How do you go in and manage your business finances? All of the things that people don't talk about in business courses. You don't hear about this stuff in marketing courses, right? How do you handle taxes? How do you make sure that you're legally paying as little taxes as possible? What are some of the things that you can do to go in and make sure that you're maximizing your deductions, maximizing the expenses that you have, and what type of expenses you should have, right? Because all expenses are not equal. You want expenses primarily that are going to generate you more and more income, but at the same time, save you on your taxes. What do you do when a merchant account gets shut down? What is a merchant account? How do you have backups? How do you rotate your merchant accounts? How do you make sure that your Stripe accounts, your PayPal accounts are secure and not at jeopardy of getting closed down? How do you make sure that your employees that you're hiring are revenue generating? Every single employee that you hire, whether they're a freelancer, someone that's part-time, a 1099, or if they're a W-2, should be revenue generating. So all of this stuff I'm gonna be talking about. This is man, I've been in business since I was like 19. So this would be 31 years of experience and me making tens of millions of dollars put into a 3-day event. So if you want to hear more about this, let me know. And also, I've been doing something really cool with one of the team members that's on my team, Caroline Trainer. We've been doing what we call a Money Morning Meetup, MMM, Money Morning Meetup. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we get together where we talk about personal development. We talk about what it is that you need to do to become your biggest, best, most powerful version of yourself. How do you grow your business? How do you scale your business? How do you have fun in your business so that it doesn't become boring as hell and you want to run away from it? How do you build out a really cool team, a team that's in alignment with your vision? How do you just do some things that allow you to live a really peaceful life, right? A life where you just have fun, you enjoy yourself, a life of retirement without being retired. All right, so if you want to join us for those calls, they take place every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern, and you can register for free if you're one of the first 100, right? We're taking 100 people, and then after that, it's going to be $79 a month. But you can do so by going to tycohen.com, tycohen.com/MMM for Money Morning Meetup. So tycohen.com/MMM, all lowercase. And I'll see you on the next Money Morning Meetup, 8 o'clock.